You seriously reckon fish just go into a coma and stop feeding in March? Dead set? 90% of fishos are sitting on the couch waiting for May, while the other 10% are out there bagging them by the bucket load right now while you're watching this. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to smash the biggest myth about the spring dry spell. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll be grabbing your rod, heading to the water, and showing up everyone who's been whinging about the weather. We aren't just talking about a bit of fishing today. We're cracking the code on March carp. You ready for the truth? Let's get stuck in. Let's get one thing straight. March isn't winter, but it's a long way off summer. It's that tricky transition period. Under the surface, there's a total revolution going on. The ice is melting, oxygen is pumping back in, but the water is still bloody freezing. The fish are waking up from that winter slump. Their metabolism is shifting. They want a feed, but they can't digest heavy tucker yet. And that's where most blokes get it wrong. They try to catch a March carp the same way they do in mid-August. Same gear, same buckets of heavy burley, same massive hooks, and they come home with donuts every time. A carp in March is a completely different beast. He's touchy, he's picky, and he's holding in very specific spots. To land him, you've got to think like a biologist and act like a sniper. We're going to break this strategy down step by step. Слушай сюда. Первое, что тебе нужно уяснить, это температура воды. Это самое главное. Карась, парень теплолюбивый. В ледяной воде он за твоей наживкой бегать не станет. Он экономит силы. Каждое движение для него – это трата драгоценной энергии. Поэтому правило номер 1 – не пытайся найти активную рыбу по всему водоему. Ищи теплую воду, даже разница в полградуса решает все. Где вода прогревается быстрее? Правильно, на мелководье, особенно там, где дно темное. Темный ил или глина впитывают солнечные лучи и работают как батарейка. Если припекает солнце, иди на южный берег. Почему? Потому что наш северный ветер теплый, он дует прямо в лицо и гонит прогретую воду к твоим ногам. Это простая физика, дружище. Ищи закрытые от ветра заливчики глубиной не больше метра. Именно туда карась выходит погреться после обеда. Забудь про ямы. В ямах сейчас холодно и мрачно. Вся движуха на мели. Теперь давайте перетрем за кислород. После температуры это самый важный момент. Зимой рыбе было реально тяжко дышать, а сейчас свежая талая вода бодро гонит кислород в водоем. Ищите места, где впадают ручьи или где снег активно стекает с полей. Любые промоины во льду – это ваш ориентир. Рыба инстинктивно прет на свежую струю. Но тут есть один нюанс. Талая вода часто идет мутной, а рыба не в восторге, когда жабры забиваются всякой грязью. Поэтому ваша идеальная точка – это граница мути и чистой воды. Старайтесь забрасывать именно на этот стык. Мутняк несет с собой кучу хавчика, смытого с берега, всяких червячков, личинок и семена. А в чистой воде рыбе просто комфортно находиться. Если найдете такой ручеек, впадающий в залив, считайте, вы сорвали куш. Там будет стоять вся стая, и, поверьте, она будет очень голодной.
Righto, let's talk gear. Time to chuck those heavy summer sticks back in the shed. March carp are fussy buggers. They don't just smash it, they give it a tiny nibble first. If they feel the slightest bit of resistance, they'll spit it out instantly. Your setup's got to be delicate, like a surgical tool. Now, for the line, forget that heavy 0.18 or 0.2 stuff. Your main line should be 0.12 max. And the leader, you're looking at 0.08 or even 0.06. Yeah, it's basically a spider web. And yeah, it's a real mission to handle. But in that crystal clear spring water, thick line sticks out like a sore thumb. The fish see it. They see the bait falling all wrong. A thin line doesn't catch the wind. So your bait drifts down nice and natural. That's the real secret right there.
The float. Think of it as your eyes on the water. When it comes to gear, lightweight, is everything. We're talking 1, maybe 2 grams tops. If there's a bit of a breeze, grab a float with a thin tip so you can spot even the tiniest nibble. Your shotting pattern has to be spot on. You want that float balanced so perfectly it'll dive the moment a fish touches the bait. Whatever you do, don't just clamp one massive sinker right next to the hook. Spread them out down the line in a nice taper. Your smallest bit of lead, the dropper, should be about 2 inches from the hook. See? When a carp picks up that bait, he shouldn't feel a thing. If he feels any weight at all, he'll spit it out and bolt. Your job is to fly under the radar. Make that bait feel weightless. It's a proper game of cat and mouse out here, and you've got to be the one outsmarting him. Hooks, man, this is where a lot of fishos get it wrong. I see blokes out there using a size 10 hook loaded with a massive bunch of worms. Honestly, in March that's just not going to cut it. The fish have got small mouths this time of year, and they're only looking for tiny bits of feed. You really need to be downsizing to a size 18 or even a 16. I know they look microscopic, but they've got to be fine wire and needle sharp. That thin wire is the key. It doesn't wreck the bloodworm. You want that bait alive and kicking on the hook. If the bait is dead and hanging there like a wet rag, you won't get a touch. A tiny hook gets sucked right in, the fish won't even know it's there. And don't worry about losing them. As long as your drag is set right and your rod's got a bit of flex, these little hooks will hold on just fine. Right, let's talk bait. What's on the menu? In March, these carp are acting like proper predators. They're after protein. They're gearing up for spawning and need all the energy they can get. So, ditch the bread, the dough, the corn, and the barley. Save those for May, mate. Right now, the bloodworm is the king of the table. It's their natural tucker, straight out of the mud. The carp know the taste, and they love the smell. Just thread 1 or 2 on the hook. Don't go making a massive clump of them. Hook 'em right through the head so they keep wriggling. That movement drives the fish absolutely bonkers. If you can't get your hands on bloodworms, maggots will do the trick. But don't go for the big ones. Use the tiny feed maggots. Or just pick the smallest one out of the tin. In the cold water, the red ones usually work a treat compared to the white. And definitely try a cocktail. 1 bloodworm and 1 maggot together. It's an absolute classic that never lets you down. Can you use worms? Yeah, for sure, but there's a bit of a trick to it. See, a whole worm is often way too much for them this time of year. The fish will just muck around with it, tugging on the tail until they eventually give up. If you're gonna use worms, you've got to chop 'em up. Just a tiny piece, maybe 1/2 centimetre long. Make sure you hook it so the point's sticking right out. That scent from a freshly cut worm travels fast underwater and brings them in from a mile away. It's like a natural magnet. Honestly, worm juice is the best attractant nature's ever come up with. Give this a go when the bite's gone quiet. More often than not, it's that little bit of worm that'll get the biggest fish to finally strike. Burleying. This is where 90% of fishos get it wrong. The golden rule for March is simple. Attract 'em, don't feed 'em. See, when the water's cooling down, a fish's metabolism slows right down. They only need a tiny bit of tucker to get full. If you chuck a kilo of heavy porridge into the water, that fish is going to have a couple of grains and then bugger off to sleep for 3 days. Your mix needs to be lean. The secret ingredient? Dirt. Just plain old earth from a garden or some proper loam from the tackle shop. Mix your store-bought burley with dirt at a ratio of 1 to 3 or even 1 to 5. The dirt creates a massive cloud and carries the scent, but it provides 0 calories. The fish will stay on your spot for hours, sifting through the mud, looking for a feed without ever getting full. Trust me, if you don't use soil, you'll just overfeed the fish and kill the spot. Let's talk about scents. During the summer, we usually go for the sweet stuff, strawberry, vanilla, or honey, but once the water goes cold, those sugary smells just don't cut it. They end up sounding too harsh and unnatural down there. In the colder months, spices and meaty scents are where it's at. You want to be looking at garlic, dill, coriander, or even pepper. Prawn, crab, and bloodworm extracts are also top tier. Garlic, in particular, is a total game changer for carp when the temperature drops. But here's the catch. You've got to be dead careful with the dosage. In cold water, scents travel slower, but they hang around much longer and come across way more aggressive. It's always better to underdo it than to overdo it. The best way to handle it, just put a few drops in your hands and rub them through your burley. Honestly, that's usually more than enough. Never just pour the chemicals straight from the bottle into the bucket. If you overcook it, you'll nuke the spot and the fish won't come within a mile of it. Let's talk about the color of your ground bait, because this is a real game changer. When the water is clear, the bottom is usually quite dark. If you drop a patch of bright yellow or white bait down there, it's going to act like a spotlight. Small fish are terrified of sitting on a bright spot. They know they'll stand out to any predators lurking nearby. Even the more cautious fish will steer clear. You want your mix to be black or a deep, dark brown. You can use a proper bait dye or even just mix in some dark soil to get the right tone. The goal is for your bait to blend right into the bottom. You want the fish finding it by scent, not by sight. It's all about making them feel safe. Create a comfortable environment for them, and they'll reward you with plenty of bites. Right, let's talk burley tactics. Forget about chucking in 10 massive balls the size of oranges to start with. All that splashing is just going to spook the fish. This time of year, you've got to be subtle. Just toss in one little ball about the size of a walnut. If you're on the feeder, use a small one. You want as little noise as possible when it hits the water. The fish are real jumpy right now. One loud splash and the whole school will shift 5 meters away. It's much better to drop a tiny bit in every 20 minutes or so to keep them interested, rather than bombing the water like an artillery strike. If you're float fishing, you don't even need to make balls. Just throw in some loose mix to create a nice cloud in the water. That trail will bring them in from a mile away. Summer fishing? Easy. You grab a chair, burley up, and wait for the fish to come to you. But March, that's a whole different story. The fish aren't moving much, so you've got to be the one on the move. If you've been sitting there for half an hour without a single nibble, pack it up. Don't sit around waiting for a miracle, mate. Ain't coming. Go find 'em. Shift 10 meters down, change your depth, cast right into those snags or near the reeds. The fish are holding tight in tiny spots. You could be sitting just a meter away from a massive school and not get a touch. Active searching is the name of the game. Keep it light. A basic chair, the bare essentials, and your rod in hand. Cast, check the spot, and then move on. If you keep hunting, you'll find those silver slabs. But staying put, in March, that's just a mug's game. Forget waking up at the crack of dawn. There's no need to drag yourself out of bed at 4 a.m. First thing in the morning, the water's at its coldest after the night, and the carp are still fast asleep. In March, the action usually kicks off closer to midday once the sun starts warming things up. From 11 in the morning until about 3 or 4 in the arvo, that's your golden window. As soon as that sun starts dipping, the temperature drops and the bite just cuts off like someone flicked a switch. Use that to your advantage. Sleep in, have a proper brekkie, and rock up to the water around 10. You won't miss a thing. If anything, you'll arrive fresh and full of energy exactly when the fish start looking for a feed. It's one of those rare times when being a bit lazy actually pays off for a fisherman. Working the bait. Crucian love a bit of movement in March, but you've got to keep it dead slow. If your float's just sitting there like a stunned mullet, give it some life. Give the rod a tiny nudge. Just a couple of centimeters is plenty. Try lifting the bait up and letting it settle back down, or even dragging it along the bottom. It makes it look like a little grub scrounging around in the mud. Most of the time, they'll hit it right as you stop. It triggers that instinct where they reckon the prey's getting away, so they've got to grab it. Just remember to keep it smooth, no aggressive jerks or you'll spook 'em. Think of it like you're handling a puppet. Nice and easy, does it? Wind and a bit of chop. Most fishers hate the wind, but it's actually your best mate out on the water. That light ripple on the surface keeps you hidden from your catch. When it's dead calm, those fish can spot your silhouette on the bank from a mile away, and they'll bolt the second you move your rod. A bit of chop is your natural camo. Plus, the wind stirs everything up and pumps the water full of oxygen. The windward bank, the one the breeze is blowing straight onto, that's usually the sweet spot. It pushes all the tucker across the surface and creates an undertow that kicks up the silt and mud. So, don't be scared of a bit of wind. Chuck on a warm jumper, get comfy and face right into it. That's where the big fellas are usually hanging out, right in the wash, snapping up everything that gets blown their way.
Reading the deck. If you're out with a feeder or a picker rod, don't be a lazy bugger. Take the time to map out the bottom. You're looking for those sweet spots where the soft mud turns into hard ground or shells. Or keep an eye out for a little drop-off. See, any bit of a ledge or a bump down there is where the fish reckon it's safe to grab a feed. If the bottom is as flat as a pancake, the fish won't stick around. They've got nowhere to hide. Even a tiny hole can be a real magnet for them, so spend your first half hour sussing out the layout with a marker lead. It'll pay off big time. Trust me, it's much better to spend 30 minutes searching and 3 hours hauling them in than 4 hours staring at a dead rod tip because you've cast it into the middle of nowhere.
Dead quiet. The water's cold and crystal clear, and sound travels through it in a heartbeat. A bucket rattling, loud yarning, or heavy boots thumping on the bank. The fish hear everything. They're a cagey lot. If they sense a threat, they won't necessarily bolt. They'll just shut down. They'll freeze. So keep it on the down low. Don't go slamming car doors. Creep up to the water's edge and watch your shadow. Don't let it fall over your float. Camo isn't just about the gear you're wearing. It's mostly about how you behave. You've got to blend in, not be like a bull in a china shop. The quieter you sit, the closer those fish will come to the bank.
Landing your catch. Now, bites in March can be dead set, subtle. Your float might only dip a fraction of a millimeter, nudge slightly to the side, or just sit there looking unnatural. If you reckon something's up, strike immediately. Don't go waiting for the float to disappear or lay flat. Chances are it won't. These carp will take the bait, hold it in their mouth, and just sit there. If they feel anything dodgy, they'll spit it out in a heartbeat. You've got to be lightning fast. Use a light, fast-action rod so your strike is short and sharp. Don't go ripping the poor thing's lip off with a massive swing. Just a quick flick of the wrist will do the trick.
Fishing is all a mental game. Don't even think about throwing in the towel just yet. March can be a real test of character. You might sit there for 2 hours without so much as a nudge on the line. Most blokes will give up, pack their gear, and head home early. But then, right around 2 in the afternoon, it's like someone flips a switch and the bite is suddenly on. Fishing this time of year is a pure game of nerves. You've got to back your spot and trust your tactics. If you've done the hard yards, found the right structure, rigged up light and got your burley sorted, the results will come. The fish are down there, mate. You just have to wait for that window to open. Patience is the most important tool in any fisher's kit, and right now, it's worth its weight in gold.
And one last thing, legends. Safety first. If you're heading out on the ice, you've got to be dead careful. March ice is a real dodgy beast. It's all soft and honeycombed. It won't give you a warning crack before it gives way, so don't even think about going solo. Keep your ice spikes on you at all times. If you're sticking to the bank, watch your step. The ground's a slippery mess with the mud freezing and thawing out. Taking an accidental dip in freezing water is a total shocker. And trust me, no fish is worth your neck. Layer up. Get your thermals on and stay warm. If you're feeling good and toasty, you'll stay sharp and catch way more. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and have a cracker of a day on the water. All right, legends, so now you've got the full game plan. March isn't the time for excuses, it's the time to get tactical. Forget those old myths that the fish are just dormant. They're out there waiting, you just got to change your approach. Think light leaders, tiny hooks, live bait, and some dark burley mixed with soil. And definitely hunt for those warmer pockets of water. That right there is the winning formula. Give at least 3 of these tips a crack on your next trip, and I guarantee your results will shift big time. Don't be afraid to experiment, mates. Fishing is all about finding that magic key. Cheers for watching till the end. If this video was a winner for you, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you're ready for the open water season. Toss us a like too, it's the best way to say thanks. Now I've got a question for you. What's the biggest cracker you've ever hauled in during the early spring? Drop a comment below and let's talk trophies. Catch you out on the water.